program eventually. But I thank you all for coming and being on time for our speaker today. We are delighted to welcome Matt Wilson, who is the commissioner, new commissioner of the Go South Conference, our conference. He came here today to share some tidbits about his career and working in intercollegiate athletics, as well as answer some questions that you may have. Don't be shy, don't be bashful. This is the perfect opportunity to get questions answered about what it's like to really work in intercollegiate athletics. He's very capable of telling you sort of the insider, from an insider perspective, and as a practitioner who lives and breathes this stuff every day, you know, what it's like to be out there in the real world working at the pinnacle of a Division II conference. So with that, you didn't come to hear me speak. I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Wilson and expect your undivided attention. Thank you all.
Well, thanks. Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Henderson. I appreciate the opportunity to come speak. This is the second time I've been on campus. I came for a site visit, really fresh on the job, to visit with the West Georgia Athletics Department, Dr. Marrero, and some other people on staff. It's a beautiful campus. Y'all should feel really lucky to be here. A lot of great things happening in West Georgia. I know you're as excited about it as we are at the conference office. I just want to give you a little bit of an idea, roadmap, where we're headed today. I really want to talk about kind of 4 different categories. And I'm going to talk about each of them. I'll take a brief break. If somebody has a question, we'll answer them then. But we'll also have some Q&A time at the end. But I want to tell you a little bit about my professional background and some key moments so far in my career. I want to talk to you about what the Gulf South Conference and NCAA Division II are, what that even means. I want to give you a sneak peek inside the interview process that I had for this last position. It was unlike anything I've done before. You all are going to be at the beginning part of your career, but as you elevate, this will be a great sneak peek for you in there. And then the last thing I want to finish with is to just be real transparent, real open with you, and talk about some of the biggest challenges I've faced at various stages in my career. So that's kind of our roadmap today. Those are the 4 areas of conversation I'd like to hit and share with you. So let me start by talking a little bit about my professional background and key moments. I'm in my 16th year working in intercollegiate athletics. Graduated in May of 1998 from Belmont University. They were just transitioning from NAIA to Division I at that time, and they didn't have enough staff. Okay, so perfect opportunity for somebody like me. They're looking for people. I do an internship that semester before I graduate, and lo and behold, turns into a full-time position in August. And since August of '98, I've been working in athletics. I spent 6 years at Belmont, working in a variety of roles. I spent the next 9 years at the Atlantic Sun Conference. It's a Division I athletic conference based down in Macon, Georgia. Again, several different roles during my 9 years there. And then on May 1st, I started as the commissioner of the Gulf South Conference. So that's kind of my career track so far. 3 stops, a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different responsibilities over that course of stops. And what I'd like to start with y'all is talk a little bit about my time at Belmont. So when I was going to school, I enjoyed taking night classes. It's just one of the things I did. So as a senior, or I guess really as a junior, in my second semester junior, I was taking a marketing night class. The Belmont people come in. We're looking for marketing interns. Come run promotions at games. Come hand out flyers. Whatever it is. I said, yeah, that'd be a great way to spend my senior year. They're going to pay and we'll make a little money. So I sign up and I spend my senior year working as kind of a student assistant intern at Belmont. Well, a couple months into that, the sports information director quits. For those of you who don't know, sports information director hardly goes by that title anymore, but they're basically what does website, media releases, communications, game day, operations, things like that. They quit. I had a penchant for writing, which was a lot bigger deal at that time than maybe it is now. The social media aspect's taken over, some of the graphic design's taken over, but at that time it was writing. So I could do stats and I could write. So I volunteered, jumped in, and I did a good enough job that they ended up hiring me full time that August. So kind of broke in on accident. That guy had to come in and ask me about working in marketing. Gave me that whole class to spill about the opportunity to work in marketing. I don't know that my path would have led that way. If I hadn't taken the chance and then gotten the opportunity to fill a void, would it have led to a full-time position? So what I want to tell you is be ready to fill a void. Okay? That's whether you're as an undergrad, post-grad, or when you get into your career. Make yourself very valuable. there are a lot of things in the athletic department people don't want to do. Okay, I just had a staff meeting yesterday with my staff, and one of the things we said is, here's 4 things we've got to do that nobody wants to do, and it's not on anybody's job description. Okay, the best way to make an impact on your potential employers, potential supervisors, jump in, do it well, make a name for yourself. So always be ready to fill the void. That theme continued for me as I was working as first year assistant SID. I was doing some small sports, just helping out where I could. Another SID turnover for them. They had nobody else to go to. They gave me the opportunity, kind of knocked it out of the park, and from there, it really took on. I led the department. I was an assistant AD by the time I left. So fill the void, and you absolutely have to be ready to lead when you get a chance to lead. Okay, all of you are going to get a chance to lead. Okay, you can't work in athletics and hide in the shadows. That's just not the way it's going to work. Everybody in every athletic department has an opportunity to lead. But are you going to be ready when that chance comes? That's going to be up to you. Have you looked at what other people are doing? Have you been following people on Twitter that give you an idea of how they do it well? Do you have a mentor? Do you have things like that? Those are what will help prepare you for leadership opportunities. But it's going to be up to you and your level of confidence to jump in on that. But I can't stress how important it is to be ready to fill the void and lead when that opportunity comes. One other thing I learned during my time at Belmont, in addition to those, is it's my opinion you need to always be ready for the big stage, is kind of how I talk about it. When I was at Belmont, by the time I was doing men's basketball SID work, they were 7-21 the first year, okay? I think they've been to 3 or 4 NCAA tournaments in the last 5 or 6 years since then. But even at 7-21, we ran our operation, handled myself as if we were going to go to a Sweet 16 every single year. That way, when the chance to enter the big stage came, you weren't caught off guard. You'll see that everywhere. I imagine you go to a West Georgia football game over here, and it feels like it's ready for the big stage. They're ready for a TV crew to come in here and broadcast a national championship right here from West Georgia. You're going to have a game day atmosphere. You're going to have the promotions. You're going to have everything. And it might be for the spring game. It might be for a preseason game. You're going to win 70-6 over somebody to come in and get your feet wet and get some people some playing time. But they're ready for the big stage. That's also your opportunity. When you're working every day, and you're in the grind of not making a lot of money, and you haven't had a weekend off, and whatever the grind is during the season, just keep in mind that big stage opportunity is going to come. And you're not sure when it's going to be there, but you need to be ready to jump in and take it. After I transitioned out of Belmont, I was assistant AD. I kind of hit what I felt like was a ceiling for me. There were some older staff administrators who had deep roots in the national community at that time. So there really wasn't an opportunity for me to advance financially or responsibility-wise. So I began to look a little bit, and an opportunity came open in Atlantic Sun to come down and serve as assistant commissioner for championships and media. Excuse me. So I took advantage of that, had built some rapport and some credibility with the conference office during Belmont's time in the league, and they took a chance on me. So I was real excited for that. But what that led me to learn is that I need to be ready to embrace the challenge, okay? There's new challenges all the time. When I took over, when you're working in an institution, your athletic director is your boss, you're working for the coaches, you're a part of the campus community, okay? That's kind of how the structure works. When you go to work at a conference office, all of a sudden, the number of constituents and bosses increases exponentially, okay? So let's do just a little math from the Gulf South Conference, okay? We've got 12 institutions that compete right now. That's 12 CEOs. That's how we refer to presidents. So you got 12 CEOs or presidents. You've got 12 athletic directors. You've got 12 senior woman administrators who are the top female administrator designated in the department. They serve a role in our governance structure. So you got 12 of those. 12 faculty athletic reps who also have a role in our governance structure. Okay, you've got a head coach at every sport, at every school. How many sports do you all have? 14? Or 13. So there's 13 at West Georgia. You know, maybe there's 15 somewhere else, 12 somewhere else. So 12 times 13, number of coaches. Forget fans, forget media. So right there, you're into 100 bosses, so to speak. You're working for all these people, and they all have different demands and expectations of you. So that's a big new challenge, is trying to make sure that you're representing well, looking out for the overall best interest of the conference while trying to manage expectations from all these different constituents who are in some form or fashion kind of your boss. You know, that's who you're working for. You're trying to make them be able to do their job as well as they can. It's a very different approach to work. That's what I found. That was one of the big challenges that I faced right off the bat. So that was one you got to be ready, but that's just an example. Be ready to embrace those new challenges that come with a new position and a new opportunity. Also at the ASUN, another thing I had to think about was recognizing who I wanted my peers to be. Okay, well, I had all these different folks that I worked with when I started. I was the conference SID and I ran championships. So my primary contacts were the other SIDs at the institutions and kind of championship directors. But I knew that my aspirations were a little higher than that. So I wanted to make sure that I positioned myself to be a peer with the athletic directors as quickly as I could, okay? Because I wanted to be in kind of a CEO position. So that was one of the things I had to do. So you recognize where you want your peer level to be and try to start aspiring for that. That may mean you have to dress a little different, right? So you're not coming in casual athletic gear now. So you're in slacks and a button down in the right opportunity, because that's what your peer group, that's where your peer group might be. So doing things like that, you know. But that's a tricky deal too, because you're working with coaches every day, you're working with SIDs every day, you want your peers to be ADs. You have to find a way to balance that, because you don't want to disrespect the coaches and the SIDs you work with. They're so important. Everybody in the process is so important, but you can't disrespect the folks that you feel are a little lower in the organizational structure than where you want your peers to be. It's a balancing act, but it's one to be aware of. It's a hard one to do every day, I'll be honest with you. That's a real challenge every day. I work with the ADs and the presidents very closely, so when a coach calls, I have to make sure I'm conscious of consciously aware that I also work for them. Respectful, give them the opportunity. They have great ideas. Let's include them the best we can. And that's a real thing that I have to be conscious of as I go through. And another thing at the Atlantic Sun, and I guess when you come up here and talk about these things, you kind of talk about the successes you had. We'll get the challenges at the end, so we'll talk a little bit about success. But I want you to feel like you can earn it, don't wish for it. You know, you can sit around a long time wishing. Boy, I sure would like it. Man, it would be great. Wouldn't it be awesome if? Go out there and earn it, okay? If that means extra hours, go out there and earn it. It means doing a good job. It means building respect within the community that you're working in, because those things get out quick. Networking gets out quick. You know, I wouldn't have this position at the Gulf South if there hadn't been some other people speaking on my behalf. I'm pretty confident of that. We'll talk about that when we get the challenges on why I think that, but it was important. So earn it, don't just wish it. And just since I've been at the Gulf South Conference, a couple other things as far as key moments in my career. One is a little bit like the last one. It's that all the little moments in your career, in your life, they're all going to lead to a big moment or big moments, okay? So the time you dealt with respect with a coach at a baseball tournament that had him where he went to the next job, talked to his AD, and now when the big moment comes, you're up for the big job that you want, the dream job, or another big moment. All your little moments have helped lead to that, okay? So don't get that lost. I know when I was working as an SID, and that was when I was in the grunt work down there at Belmont, really deep in it, there were so many times where I get frustrated, particularly when I felt like I hit that top of that ceiling. I just get so frustrated, you know. I work Friday, I work Saturday, I work Sunday, and we leave on a trip on Monday. I'm beat. This isn't any fun. I'm not going to have a good attitude today. And what you learn is if that happens long enough, your reputation will follow you, whether it's a good one or a bad one. So your cynicism might follow you, if that's the way people think. sarcasm, things like that that could work against you will follow you, as well as the, man, he came to work every day. She really has a great attitude, even though you can tell that they're worn out. Those sort of things follow you. So those little moments lead up to big moments. And lastly, I'd encourage you, even as your careers right now, as you work in teams on the field, or on the court, or whether you work in teams in the classroom, listen and engage. Okay, that's two very important things. That's one of the things that I've had to work really hard on since I've come here. There's a lot of listening to be done. I replaced commissioners in there for 22 years. Okay, over the course of 22 years, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, and as a commissioner, you may start thinking you know everything a lot better than everybody else does. That happens, you know. I know just in my last job, after being at the ASUN at 9 years, there would be things I hear, we've learned that, but that's not going to work. No, let's listen. Let's engage them on the questions, because there's something, if they're bringing you a problem, there's something behind that problem. Rarely is it just on the surface, the problem is right in front of you. So to be able to get to the question behind the question, you got to listen and engage them. So those are just kind of a little bit of background, a little bit of key moments, a couple platitudes or whatever you want to call them there. But those are kind of some key moments so far in my career. Anybody have any questions about all that information I threw out at you? Yes, sir.
Well, is there a drastic change in the workload going from the D1 to like the D2?
You know, that's a great question. I appreciate that. In case you didn't hear it, he asked if there was a big workload change going from D1 to D2. And I'll tell you what, the job has been more difficult already than I thought it would be. I mean, there is a lot of work to do. I like to think the Gulf South Conference operates like a mid-major Division I conference. Okay, the differences, and I'll use the ASUN as the example. ASUN, we had 11 staffers. Gulf South, we have 5. ASUN budget about $7.5 million. Gulf South budget about $1 million. Okay, so those are two big, huge differences. And what that's resulted in is we have to work a little bit harder. Things that the ASUN commissioner might have just said, Matt, can you handle? Or John, can you handle? Or Olivia. Now I've got to handle those. So I would say that the workload has probably increased, obviously moving up to commissioner, but even otherwise, I think it's been a lot more work. So I appreciate that question. Thanks.
I'm gonna just go ahead. Go and fill in some seats if you want to take your seats. There's some seats down there. First 2 rows are covered. Sorry.
That's okay. Guys, glad y'all were able to join us. So far, it's been a lot of me talking. I appreciate you asking me a question and getting us going. Does anybody else have any other question on this first little section? All right. Oh, yes, sir.
How often did you set goals? Like you were talking about, once you got to a certain point in the age, something that you realized that you want to go somewhere else. Like, how often did you set goals to realize that you needed to move forward somewhere?
That's a terrific question. The way I attacked goals was I had annual goals for me. That was part of our structure at the ASUN and stuff we're carrying on over to the Gulf South. And those are goals related to the organization. But I broke it out into personal goals. So annually I'd have some personal goals. And an example of that would be to get on a committee within one of the professional organizations. There's several professional organizations in athletics, like NACDA, for example. Get on a committee, do some national service. That'd be a goal because it gives me a broader perspective and increases your network of contacts and communication. So to answer that, I do annual goals, and that's how I attack those. And I try to make them, you've probably heard this many times, but very specific, very measurable, and realistic. I think there's a couple other letters, but those are the 3 that I remember. Specific, measurable, and realistic were really important for me when I did. All right, the next section, I want to talk a little bit about what the Gulf South and Division II is. So this gives you a chance to give you my spiel about what's great about the Gulf South and what's great about NCAA Division II. Student athletes, how many student athletes in the room? Awesome, thank you. Thank you for representing the Gulf South. Thank you for representing West Georgia. Thank you for choosing to compete in the absolute best Division II conference in the NCAA. So I appreciate you being willing to do that, the time and energy you have to